What's a cheese grater got to do with an air duct? Well, stand by, this next video is going to show you. So maybe you have seen some air conditioning systems where people have just drilled holes in the sides of the duct to let the air out. And if that's all they do, well, that's basically cheese grater duct. That's what I call cheese grater duct. Why do I call it cheese grater duct? Because just like a cheese grater, when you run the cheese over the grater, the cheese doesn't come out at a 90-degree angle, right? You run the cheese this way, what's the cheese come out the other side? It's still going this way, right? So when you use duct like this, the air is going like this inside of it, and when it comes out this hole, it doesn't magically make a 90-degree turn and come out this way. It goes that way. This is how you correct that and make it work good. So after a couple of years of making cheese grater duct and trying to figure out how to straighten out the airflow, I did a couple different things, but last year I experimented with making my own little turning vane air scoop. And this little piece of metal, it gets inserted in this hole. This is 1 inch and this is 1 inch. And man, look at that, it goes right in there. And it comes over here, and then we fasten it with a screw or a pop rivet. And now what happens is this little scoop inside of there, when the air is going this way, it's reaching out inside that duct and it's grabbing some of that air and it's turning it, right? We're physically grabbing some air and we're straightening it out and making it turn and come out at a 90-degree angle. Now, one of the benefits to this is when you have a really long duct like this, the very first holes where the air is coming from, down here, they don't get very much air. But the further you go down the duct towards the end, all the air piles up down here and it's just flooding out of the far end. So when you install something like this, the first holes in the line, they get to grab air that they couldn't get before. And so those first holes will get more air and those last holes will get less air. So it's balancing. This dude, like I said, is for a 1 inch hole. I'm going to show you how to make some for 2 inch. Here's some tools that you should probably have if you want to do this sheet metal work. This is a pair of bench shears. It's called a hand seamer. This is a scribe, a marking tool. And obviously snips. And this is called a dovetail notcher. It makes V-shaped cuts. And of course, make you a plan. So I've already made a plan. So we're going to reduce our piece of metal. I've found a 2 inch piece of metal. We're working with 2 inch holes, so we're going to make 2 inch scoops. So we start by making a scribe across the metal, chop that dude off. Okay, so we need 2 dimensions marked on our piece. The first one is a 1 inch line. And we reset the tool for 2 inches. We flip it over and make a mark on the other side. Now, taking the dovetail notchers on the first mark, the 1 inch mark, we're going to go all the way in and chop that dude. I'm going to flip it around, same thing on the other side. So you could do this different. You could just use some snips if you wanted to, but this tool will make things really clean for you. Now that we've got that, we have to reduce this down. So I'm going to take my bench shears and clean this off. So all I'm doing is I'm just going to eyeball a nice straight line. You can mark it with your scribe if you want to, or you could get some experience and not have to scribe it. But you won't know how to cut it good like me, right? All right, that was a bad cut. But you get the point. There's our little tab. Now remember, we have this other line on the other side. Now, my hand seamers won't go all the way into that line. It's right there. If I go from this way, I'm going to have the same thing. But check this out. If I jump around it on the side, I can get 90% of that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a 45 approximately. So you can say that's not 45, or you can say that's more than 45, whatever. Say what you want. There it is. We need about a 45-degree angle. Then we take it, we flip it over, back to this first line. This one we're going to put a 90. Just bring it all the way over the tool. And there it is. So there's my original 1 inch version, and here's a new 2 inch version. Now, you're going to take this, you're going to slip it into the duct, And this points towards where the air is coming from, right? So we want this to catch the air and deflect it and turn it and run it out into the room at a nice straight angle. Okay, so back to the beginning. I'm not going to get this in my 1-inch hole, but it's identical, right? These are absolutely identical, different size though. So you'll take this and you'll slip it into the hole and you'll push it way over the side, nice and tight as you can. Push that down and run a self-tapping screw right into there. Do that in all your holes. Make sure you point them the right way or it's not going to work. So if your holes are not 2-inch, just use this kind of as a reference. You can see I used a piece of metal 2 inches by 4 inches. And then you can see this section is 3 inches and that section is 1 inch. And that section is about 3/4 of an inch. Because remember I grabbed my dovetail notchers and that's about a 3/4 inch dovetail notcher. And so we didn't have to make that mark. But that's it. So draw this. You know, if you got a 6-inch hole, then this is going to be 6 inches, and this is probably going to be 8 inches, and so on. Then this might even be a 1-inch tang right here instead of 1/2 inch. Because like in these smaller ones, see proportionately how everything just gets smaller when it's smaller, right? So you got to come up with your pattern and make your pattern. Man, I love living in the 405. So what'd you think of this lesson, how to make air scoops? Is it going to help you out? You know, some people wonder why I give away information, just give it away like this. It's because I'm a tradesman and people when I was younger taught me. They gave it away to me. And tradespeople, we develop our skills, we get better, and then we bring others along with us. So that's all I'm trying to do is a lot of you growers do a lot of do-it-yourself stuff, so I know you're out there trying, and that's why I made this video. A guy told me this morning, he's like, hey man, I copied your stuff. I hung a duck up, I drilled some holes in it, and then I asked him, I said, so the air doesn't come out very straight, like a cheese grater, right? And he said, yeah, exactly. The air doesn't come out straight. So he's going to make some of these, because this lesson was specifically for him, and he's going to correct his airflow, and he's going to load some videos and show you, you know, let's give him a couple weeks. He's got a project. Enjoy your project.